If you started Summoner's War today, you could absolutely not just get to a point where we are in our accounts now, where we have like all the characters, we have pretty much all the gear we need. You will never ever get to that point in Summoner's War. You will never have all the characters. You will never have all the gear you need. It's just impossible. And that's why that game has like such longevity. People continue to play it for like time and time and time and longer and longer and longer. And I played it for 5 years. Like, I'm so ADHD, nothing should hold my attention for 5 years. And Summoner's War held my attention for 5 years. That's how much shit is in there to do. Hey y'all, how you doing today? So there's developer notes, right? But you know what? We're not reading the developer notes because we've already read the developer notes. There's just a little bit more detail, and the only thing in here that we didn't really already know about is now there's going to be legendary exclusive equipment stuff inside of the underground refinery point shop. They cost a shit ton of underground refinery points, so you can assume that these next 10 floors, the auto refine, needs to be like 10 times more than what it is now for that to even make sense. And we have Kunz coming up. He's going to be a supporter, you know, another supporter. That's exactly what the game needs, is a million fucking supporters. You know, they're coming out with the last bit of the story. If you haven't already figured it out, they've been releasing the last part of Season 2 a chapter at a time, and Raymond, who's been available in the contract to like inspect and stuff, he's probably going to be available on the last chapter of Season 2, which is what's coming. So we're going to be able to get Raymond. We're going to be able to get Kunz, or however you say this. But I already have like complaints of people, not my complaints, right? Okay, not my complaints. There is already complaints of people saying, where's the dealer Roy? Because in the previous, you know, developer notes, patch notes, etc., I'm not going to dig through a screenshot, but basically they said that there was going to be a new dealer named Roy. I haven't heard anything about it. People are already kind of upset about the support meta just being like absolutely goat. Like it's so weird in a game that whenever somebody joins the game and they're like, hey, what's a unit I should build? And you're like, Lakshmi. And they're like, but that's a support. And you're like, yeah, well, they're literally S tier in every single part of the game. Like, supports literally run the game. If you have the supports necessary, even Isard 10, which is debatably the in-game goal for PvE in this game, like the easy mode of it requires 3 supports, Popo, Christopher, Lakshmi, and then sub into, and you have I-11 on farm with garbage equips. It's just support is boring. Okay, support is in general is boring. This is why in like MMOs and games that have like roles for you to select, like tank, damage, or healer is rare. Okay, tank and healer is rare because it's not fun. It's necessary, but it's not fun. Like, there's only a handful of people I can think of that's like, oh god, look how much my supports are so, wow, they heal so much, they're so supporty. Like, that doesn't give you the endorphin release as it does. For example, whenever you see, like, a Farius just completely one-shot an entire team, like, that's pretty dope. And that being said, too, not everybody's happy with the Ranger thing, too, because it's either you're running a support, you're running either one of 2 tanks, I'm talking about PvP here, one of 2 tanks, you're either doing the Madeline Ziv combo, or you're doing Magnus, so those are the only 2 viable tanks, really. Amon is starting to gain viability in Guild Wars, but other than that, it's just supports, and then Rangers, and then if you have Trevor, there's like a very small handful of dealers that are viable. But the majority of people are not pleased with support meta that is literally the most boring meta possible. So what are we looking at for longevity of this game, right? Because what I'm noticing is there's a lot of new players. You know, that's cool. I don't know where you got the new players from because I haven't seen an advertisement. But they're jumping in my Discord asking questions. They have the bright light, shining bright light in their eyes of, oh my god, everything is so new. This is so cool. I like how innovative the game is, etc., etc. And they in about 2 months, they're going to be at that point where everyone else is, where they're just like, okay, what do I do now? Literally, what do we do? Okay, this new content coming out. We're going to get 10 more floors of the underground refinery. After we complete that, we're going to be doing auto-refining it. Again, just auto-refining it. Kunz, you know, we're going to get him, level him up for our collection effect, all of that stuff, or we're going to build him, and then what? Once he's built, that's done. We don't have, like, that's not a continuous grind. Something that these games kind of need is a continuous grind, and that's what Summoner's War has. In a lot of features. I'm not going to sit here and talk about Summoner's War, but basically, if you started Summoner's War today, you could absolutely not just get to a point where we are in our accounts now, where we have like all the characters, we have pretty much all the gear we need. You will never ever get to that point in Summoner's War. You will never have all the characters. You will never have all the gear you need. It's just impossible. And that's why that game has like such longevity. People continue to play it for like time and time and time and longer and longer and longer. And I played it for 5 years. Like, I'm so ADHD, nothing should hold my attention for 5 years. And Summoner's War held my attention for 5 years. That's how much shit is in there to do. And in this, it's super super duper cool whenever you first get into it until you complete everything. It only takes about 2 months to complete everything, and now our only replayability, I'm not even going to count arena, because I'm not going to lie, a lot of the like people that reach number 1 in arena, that's a big drive for a lot of people, is to be number 1 in arena. But after you have reached that number 1 spot, you lose the satisfaction of getting it over and over and over again. Like once you've had it once, you feel like you've done it and you don't need to just continuously do it. So the only thing that brings us to is Guild Wars. Now, this might just be me speaking for my guild. I don't know, how this works on other people's competitive level, but Guild War is like really the only sort of thing that changes depending on the players. Like the players can change their teams or whatever, but at the same time, depending on how high of a rank you are, it's the same thing every time, because you get up to these top ranks, you see the meta of like, oh, people are still using Lakshmi, Christopher Popo, etc. People are using Prince now, people are still using Trevor, Marissa, people are still using the same units that are just like very popularly strong, because you can't beat that comp, man. There's like nothing, there's no counters to a lot of things. There's things that are just like way too strong that don't really have counters, or people haven't built the counters. And you know what? I'm gonna go ahead and say that media is to blame for that. Tier lists are to blame for that. If there's a tier list that came out within the first few months of this game's lifespan, those are the people contributing to the metas like slavery we have going on right now. How many people have you seen built a Hana and Cruel? How many people have you seen that have actually built, a Sonya, right? Or a Murphy? These units could be good, but no one's ever going to build them, because whenever the game first came out, a few popular YouTubers just shit out a fucking tier list on their platform, and they were like, oh yeah, Counterattack, S tier, fucking Lakshmi, S tier. That all this bullshit that people just completely funneled into, and now we have no idea about any of these other characters. So all of that just to say, PvP isn't really that fun either, because it's all just like either you have the meta team or you have the counter to the meta team, and no one's really branching off trying to build other things and discover new things. Our equipment, again, obviously all equipment is basically just a stat boost minus looting, which has 1 special effect. Everything else is just stats. So there's absolutely no reason to experiment with equipment right now. 6-star equipment will be coming in the future. So what's the point in sitting here farming 5-star equipment with all your energy whenever 6-star equipment is coming and all your shit's just going to be outdated anyways? Plus, all of these are literally just a stat boost. If you want to build a dealer or, someone that does damage, you have to pick either Raid. Smash is not really meta, but you could pick Smash. You have to either pick, whatever this freaking set is called, Strike, or you have to pick Violent. There's like nothing else you can pick. You can't put them on like Will Runes, or you can't put them on something that gives them a shield for a turn. You can't put them on something that gives them like, small attack bar boost in the beginning of the turn. You can't, besides Dash, but that's not what I'm talking about. Just miscellaneous sets that there's really nothing. Everything is on rails on this game. It's like, you start the game and it feels like you have all these options, and no matter what option you explore, no matter what path you take, no matter what direction you take, it all leads back to the same point that we're all at right now, just waiting on repeatable content. The events are trash. We've had this Lucky Dice event already. It's super duper boring, okay? Let's give credit where credit is due. Everybody, we need to applaud the only community manager left in the official Discord. He is he's working his ass off to do every suggestion that we try and give him. He's trying his best to like settle stupid in-game disputes, trying his best. That dude is the fucking GOAT. That dude posts all the shit on Facebook. I think the problem is he's the one running the show. Like, as much as like he really is the one like doing the most for the game, on top of coders, on top of like other developers, he's doing the most, and that is way too fucking much for one person to have to worry about. So I still like Guild Wars, okay? Arena is just one of those things. Once you get a team that works, as long as you're fast enough, you win. Story, all this stuff that's coming and going is just exactly what it is. You do it once, like Underground Refinery, and then you don't have to do it anymore, and it's boring. I don't know what shit is like for these other people down here. Maybe you're all in competition, maybe not. I know that going from 394 to 410, you could probably see some competition there. It looks like Been Here Before is locked in at number 2. That's a pretty big gap to have to cover to get to number 2. And it looks like Mystic is locked in at number 1. That's an even bigger gap to have to get to number 1. So if you're in competition for Guild Wars, you're in competition for like 3rd place. Like I don't know how this stuff is working for them. Basically, we need something that we could do every day, like to make the game worth our while at this point, because right now it seems like we're just waiting for something great, like that meme. I'm just waiting for something great to happen. So this video is my complaining video. This is the one where I complain about the problem, and then probably later in the future I'll be the solutions video, because I have solutions to all these problems. That being said, this video is not going to pull that much audience. It's not going to pull that much traction, I don't think. So I would like to put all the suggestions together in a video, especially so this doesn't end up being an hour long, and then maybe we could present it to community manager on the official Discord and see what they could do about it. So if you have suggestions for fun content that you would like to see, put it in the comments, because we're bringing all this to the table together. Let's make this game a lot of fun, because it has fucking potential, dude. All the mercenaries are cool as fuck. The art is cool. The battle style is cool. Everything's really, really cool. There's just the content is not replayable. So let's come up, grind our gears in our mind, come up with some replayable content. We will mash our ideas together and submit them to the community manager, who is working very, very hard to provide changes like that for us. So if you have any questions about this, we'll be doing the suggestions video later. Feel free to join my Discord. We have new players and veteran players in there alike that like to help each other out. Other than that, just drop a meme, because we have fun, no stress, none of that. Yeah, and that's gonna do it for me today, y'all. I'll see y'all later. Bye.